What is going on, fight fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fight Maniac Podcast. This is a good one, bro. This is a really, really good one because we have a banger of a card after a couple of slow weeks for the UFC. So, apologize for not uploading, but there wasn't really a whole ton going on. But now we are back. We are back in full force, baby. Yeah, we have UFC 307 this Saturday night. I do believe they are in Salt Lake City, Utah. So if you don't know that it's at elevation, so that plays a huge, huge factor in cardio, right? So also when you talk about the heavier weights, like obviously our main event is at light heavyweight, so they're big boys, a lot of muscle. So you gotta wonder if that's gonna play a factor into the fight, right? But hey, we'll talk about it. We'll break it down. I'll give you my picks for each individual fight. And yeah, I think this card, by the way, is it's kind of stacked. It's a bit of a sleeper. Definitely, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, definitely more stacked than the Sphere, right? Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that? Like we've already come down from the high of the Sphere, and we're back to normal. Yeah, the production was amazing. Yeah, but the fights are meh, right? By the way, I'm also going to talk later on about Sean O'Malley because the fuck, the fuck is he doing? All right, the fuck is he doing? I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna touch later on him. But yeah, this Saturday, obviously our main event is Alex Boatan Pereira versus Khalil Rountree Jr. Yeah, this should be a banger of a striking match, right? Because on paper, both of these gentlemen are obviously, we know from Alex that he's a fantastic striker. Khalil also has a ton of knockouts in his record. He's known as a knockout artist. So if there is one guy, in my opinion, that has a death kind of touch opportunity against Alex, it could be Khalil. It could be Khalil. I don't really see it with other people like Jamal Hill. He not really a knockout artist. Gina Prohaska had a little bit of a better, in my opinion, a better opportunity, but still not like a crazy. Well, he does have some crazy knockouts, but in my opinion, Khalil probably hits harder than both those guys. And I think he has a real chance at catching Alex with something. I'm not saying that's my prediction. I'm gonna give my prediction here in a little bit, so just give me a second. But yeah, we all know I think this is gonna be a striking match primarily. Now, if both these guys wanna play strategically and have a good game plan, definitely you gotta involve some wrestling, at least some wrestling. So when it comes to Alex, for example, we all know he's been training a lot with Glover Teixeira, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chael Sonnen mentioned that he kind of predicts that Alex Spartan is going to shoot. He says something like, "I got a wild prediction. Alex Spartan is going to probably go for a takedown, right?" Which would be awesome. Would be awesome to see from both sides of the fight of the fighters. I think obviously if you are getting tagged up on the feet and you're not having success, before you get knocked the fuck out, definitely you have to attempt at least a takedown in order to come up with something, gain some sort of advantage. Right now, Alex obviously never really wrestled before, and we saw him wrestling a little bit against John, against Izzy, and we know it wasn't that well. His defense is not terrible. He does have some good defense, but when it comes to the wrestling and grappling, he's just not at a world class higher level. Obviously, because his background is primarily striking, kickboxing. However, training with Glover Teixeira for a number of years now, probably ever since he got to the UFC. So what, 2 3 years maybe? That has to do something to your skill, to your advantage, because Glover Teixeira is a fucking nightmare on the ground. So wrestling, right, but on the ground on jiu-jitsu, Alex could surprise us with something. Alex could definitely surprise us with something. Now, if you want to make a fucking crazy prediction and make some money, There's probably a number out there for Alex Pereira by submission. That's not a bad bet at all. In my opinion, that's not a bad bet at all because you gotta risk it a little bit. You have to risk it a little bit. You can't just bet Alex Pereira by knockout. That's easy. That's easy. And hey, listen, I haven't even given you my prediction yet. I'm not saying he's gonna win. I'm just yapping right now. So hold on a second. I just believe that they have to mix it up, right? They have to mix it up. It is an MMA fight. I mean, you guys are not fighting in fucking K1 or something like that. Like, you guys are fighting in the UFC, in MMA. I'm not mad, however, if they go out there and bang it out for 5 rounds. Do that. I would fucking love to see that, right? But I'm also not mad if, at the end of round one, the end of round two, we see takedowns from some guys. And, if you look at, I think Khalil should take a page out of a few fighters' book. For example, Exhibit A, Theo Bond shout out. Exhibit A, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. Merab Dvalishvili is in a similar situation with Khalil, in that he has a striking disadvantage, right? Obviously, Sean O'Malley was the big favorite on the feet, right? What does Merab go and do? He makes it a dirty fight. He cuts his distance. He gets close by. He tags him, but not only that. That's whatever. But then every round or every other round, he would mix in the takedowns. And primarily, I think that's what obviously led to him winning the belt, right? Exhibit B, you have Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad. Not the same fight. Don't get me wrong; it's a completely different fight, but similar strategy. Where, like, your strategy is to be an MMA fighter. Your strategy and your goal should be that for that night, you should be the best MMA fighter, right? Not the best boxer, not the best kickboxer, not the best jiu-jitsu practitioner, but the best MMA fighter. Especially if it's something for gold, bro. If you're going for gold, you have to showcase your your full arsenal, and you're gonna have to dig deep with a guy like Alex Pereira. So Khalil Rountree definitely has to mix in the takedowns, make it an ugly fight. We all saw in that Jamal Hill fight how Alex Pereira likes to close that distance, and once he's in that little distance, he likes to clip you really really good. The only issue with Alex is that, like Merab did to O'Malley's, he cut that distance for him. So he didn't let O'Malley be in the zone that he likes at the distance that he likes, because Merab would come closer. So he was like, he made it into a dog dirty fight. However, Alex is really fucking good at a really close distance. He doesn't need to wind up. He doesn't need to fully extend his arm to knock you out. He will just give you a short little jab right here and you are down. So definitely easier said than done. But still, I think the best way for Khalil to win this, that is not a knockout, because, by the way, he also could potentially get a knockout. He is a knockout artist. But if this fight is going to go the full 5 rounds, the only way he wins this is if he, don't play Alex's game. Don't play his game of standing around and banging, mixing the takedowns. But also, you have to find some success on the feet. You have to. If Alex is lighting you up and you just take down, obviously you're going to lose, right? So you have to find success on the feet, and then you have to mix in the takedowns. Both of these guys, however, have the nuclear option. Both of these guys have the power to put each other's lights out at any round. So I would not really be surprised if this fight ends early. Again, I'm not making predictions yet. I'm just giving you scenarios, right? If this fight does go to the distance, we have seen Alex there. He went 5 rounds with Izzy and then knocked him out in the fifth. So we know he still has power and doesn't really get tired that much. He'll probably, the thing with him is, I think he doesn't go full tank for the whole of the fight. He goes in little pockets. He would go full tank and then chill for a second, just move around and find distance, jab. And then when he sees an opportunity or when he feels like he can empty the gas tank, he'll go for it. So I don't think the cardio will be an issue. But then again, we are at elevation. And I don't know how that's going to play a factor. These guys are professionals, though. I would expect, or I would imagine, that if you know you're fighting somewhere like Salt Lake City or Denver or somewhere high up, you probably go there and maybe get there a few weeks before, because most fighters arrive to the city, if it's like in Vegas or something, they arrive the week of. Give yourself a few more weeks to kind of get acclimated and to go for runs and stuff like that, so that you can get accommodated to the weather and also the elevation, because it is a factor. It is really a factor. If you've ever been there, if you're not from a city that's in elevation and then you go there, you go up a flight of stairs and you'll get tired and you'll get winded. Like, it's crazy. So I think that it's really going to come down to, if it goes the distance, it's going to come down to who has the better cardio, but only who can have the bigger moments throughout the rounds and also mixing the takedowns. That's how you get that win by decision. Now, my official prediction, and I'll stop yapping here for this one, it's definitely not this by decision. I don't think this fight is going to go the distance. I do believe that we see an early knockout. I do believe we see maybe I don't know, round 2 Poatan knockout. Yeah, that's my official prediction. Listen, I love Khalil Rountree. He has had an amazing run. I think he's currently undefeated. He has been there with some of the toughest guys in the division. He knocked out Johnny Walker. Like, he's been there with a bunch of people. And he's in a good run right now. And this is a great opportunity that I hope, I'm rooting for him. I really am. I'm rooting for him because if you would have asked us a few months ago who is next for Alex after the Gito Prohaska fight, Khalil was not even in the top 2, top 3 probably, right? It was Magomed, it was Ankalaev, that was the people who were wanting to fight, or maybe Izzy again, who knows? But it was he was nowhere near the conversation. And all of a sudden, he gets this opportunity, and obviously he says yes, right? So for that, I do hope he wins. Like, I'm really rooting for him in a way that he can harness this opportunity and just elevate his life. He might not need it, obviously, but, more money, more views, more fame, and obviously you get to say that you are a UFC champ. That will be awesome for him. And if that happens for him, God bless. And I really hope. However, we all know, we've all already seen the power and the destruction that Alex Pereira has, and how he's able to just barely clip you, barely clip you, and and you go out, and your lights are out, bro, and you're wondering what the fuck happened, right? And you're laying on your butt. So we've all seen that. So it's hard. It's really, really hard to bet against a guy like that just has been looking so dominant, that has given us so many performances in little time. In 2 years, this guy won 2 belts, defeated former champs, defeated GOATs, and is knocking people out left and right, first round, second round. So, if we get a version of Alex that we've seen in the past few months, I don't know how anybody beats that guy. And yeah, Khalil Rountree included. So my official prediction for that one is round 2, Alex Poatan Pereira. But hey, don't be sleeping on that submission, bro. Don't be sleeping, because if it does go down to the ground, listen, this could be strategic too, right? It could be strategic in the way that, and I'll move on to the next fights, I promise, but this could be strategic in a way that Khalil might be preparing for Poatan as a striker only, right? Let's strike with this guy. We know he's a knockout artist, and we know he's going to want to strike. Alex could pivot and could say, okay, he's training for that. He might not be focusing a lot in jiu-jitsu or grappling. Now let's pivot and let's take him down. Let's submit him. Or hey, if he shoots, I'm ready, because I've been training with Glover and I can fucking probably do some shit off my back. or just go for a guillotine or something like that, right? That's totally doable. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I see it happening. I just see it happening. I see Alex giving us yet another impressive performance. Not only that, but also him showing that, hey, I'm also evolving as an MMA fighter. I'm not just a kickboxer. I'm not just a striker. So I really hope we see something like that because, again, it'll also help his cause and it'll help his argument when he goes against wrestlers, right? Because the knock has always been, oh, just wait till he, Magomed and Khalil, or just wait till he goes against a guy that can wrestle and can grapple. Okay, well, show us what you got, right? If we see something, if we see a little spark of something in that fight, okay, then maybe that conversation goes away and we say, okay, hold on then maybe Magomed is not going to be as easy as we thought, right? Because Magomed, if you would have asked anyone like a year ago, they would have told you, yeah, he's going to take him down and submit him, right? But not anymore. Again, if we see a little spark of something from Poatan, he could become not only scary as fuck on the feed, but also on the ground. So really, really looking forward to that. So that is my official prediction for this fight is Alex Poatan Pereira by round 2, knockout or TKO, obviously. Okay, so next we do have a women's bantamweight fighting. This one I don't really care so much about, but I know it's for a belt, so it's it's a huge thing. So we do have Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Obviously, Juliana Pena had the very, very impressive win against Amanda Nunes, who obviously nobody, I tell you what, going back in time, fuck. If anybody bet on that, change your life, bro. So she got an impressive win, but then on the rematch, she really did not show us much. It was complete domination by Amanda. And she hasn't fought since. She hasn't fought since, and it's been 2 years. It's been a little bit over 2 years. So she's going against Raquel Pennington. That's more obviously been more active. Got the belt and has had really impressive performances. And then I believe undefeated, going back 4 years to 2020. And she's had a few impressive wins. She had a loss against Amanda Nunes a few years ago. Well, not a few, but 2018. God, 2018. When I see 2018 and I'm saying a few years ago, that's fucking wild, bro. That's fucking wild. That was not a few years ago. That was fucking 6 years ago. That's crazy. But hey, she's been there with some of the biggest, with Holly Holm, with Arina Aldana, Nunes, Misha Tate. She defeated Misha Tate, which is crazy. So, yeah. And, that was back then when Misha Tate was fucking amazing. So, this one, I'm not going to overthink it too much. I'm not going to break it down too much. I think just Raquel has been the more active fighter. And, I think she's going to get the win. I do think this one is a little on the boring side and goes to decision. I hope not. But I am going to predict a Raquel Pennington win by unanimous decision. Or let's make it spicy. Maybe a split decision. Let's do that, yeah. Okay, so then we move on to a banger. A really, really banger. We have Jose Aldo, the king of Rio, the king of Brazil. Eu falo um pouquinho de português. Going against Mario Bautista. So this is a little tough one for me to predict, right? Because the fan in me and the nostalgia in me really, really wants to pick Jose Aldo for this fight, and I think it's tough, bro. It's just so tough because you have obviously in one side Jose Aldo, who has been probably one of the GOATs. For sure, not probably, for sure, one of the GOATs of the UFC. Had a crazy run until he lost against Conor. He went like 10 years undefeated, completely undefeated, and then lost against Conor. and then had from then it was just rocky. It wasn't the same ever since that Conor fight. He had some losses against Max Holloway, I think also against Peter Yan too. So it was a little rocky, and it's tough to see a guy hit bumps like that, especially a guy that has been at the top of his game for such a long time. But hey, he is coming off of a win out of UFC in Brazil against Martinez, so I guess that's good. Before that, he did have the loss against Marav Dvalishvili, but hey, that's okay because Marav is now the current champ, so I mean, whatever, right? And then he went on a little bit of a tear, winning 3 in a row versus Rob Font, Pedro Munoz, and Chito Vera. So hey, listen, this is only going back to 2020. So this guy, the Conor McGregor fight was 2015. Like, this guy has proved time and time again that he can still hang there with the top dogs. Will he be champion again? Probably not. Probably not. But I think that he has definitely a chance. Now, it's tough when we put him against a guy like Mario Bautista, because Mario Bautista right now, his record is looking pristine. Okay? It's looking super pristine. Now, the only knock is that he is on a little bit of a tear. He has won, I think, his last 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's won his last 6 fights, going back to 2022. Pretty active. However, they're not that impressive. I mean, he does have 3 submissions in a row, so that's good. Submission artist, so maybe he can catch Jose Aldo with something. I said Aljo, not Aljamain Sterling. Jose or Jose. I don't know. I'm Mexican, so I want to call him Jose. But I also know that in Brazil it's pronounced Jose or Jose. I do believe that obviously Jose has the better fucking record. I mean, that's without a question. But out of their last 5, fucking Mario's had the more impressive wins. However, my only knock against them is that they're not against huge names. Like, and then if you go back, he has a loss against Sanhagen, against Trayvon Jones as well. And then after that, he's defeated Jay Perrin, Brian Keller, Benito Lopez, Guido Canetti, Diamond Blackshear. That's an impressive win. And then Ricky Simon. So another kind of impressive win, but just not enough big names to say like, oh, this guy is up next. Usually, but now getting past Jose Aldo puts you there, right? Puts you in that position that like, okay, watch out for this guy. Because not only is he beating contenders, he's also beating former champs and legends, right? That's when you become a threat to the division, right? Once you start beating some of these guys that were once at the top. And that's kind of what happened with Marav. Marav became undeniable because he started winning, undefeated, and then he but he dispatched of 3 former champs back to back to back. Like, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. So that's how you become a threat, and that's how you become noticeable in the UFC. So obviously, a win against Jose would be fucking amazing for Mario. And going back to what I was saying earlier, sorry I derailed, but the fan in me wants to go with Jose Aldo for this one, but I'm not. I think I gotta be realistic. I gotta take a more of a journalistic approach. I'm not a journalist. I don't claim to be a journalist, but I gotta take a more professional approach, and I think I'm gonna take Mario Bautista. It's tough though. I don't want to bet against Jose Aldo, but I just gotta wonder, when will he? How old is he? He's 38. So I mean, we all know when you get close to 40, it's a whole different game, and that's when careers start fading away and careers start ending. So yeah, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, right? He could totally get the dub, and if he does, great for him. But if I had to put money, and I think I might put a little bit of money on it, I'm gonna put it on Mario Bautista for sure. Even though Jose is the underdog, so I might, I'm making a prediction that Mario's going to win, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bet that way. Sometimes I just bet the opposite of what I predict just because it's an underdog or something. I probably almost always bet in an underdog, though. That's kind of the case. I'm not. That's I separated my prediction from my bets. I don't want to do the same. Because, for example, Khalil is a massive underdog. Hey, your boy likes money. You like money, right? We all love Alex Pereira, and if you're rooting for him to win, that's great. But you never know. And betting against him doesn't mean that you don't like him or that you're not a fan. It's not like that. So I might put some money on Khalil because that's a tasty underdog. It's a plus 360. So let's get that money. Let's get that shmoney. But yeah, I do predict a Mario Bautista win. I'm gonna say by unanimous decision. Yeah, I don't wanna disrespect Jose Aldo by saying knockout or something like that. I'm already rooting for him to lose, but I'm not gonna disrespect him like that. I think it's a war. I think they both give us their best, and they dig deep, and it's entertaining, and it will go to decision. So that's my prediction for that. I hope not, because you don't want to see a lot of decisions. That going back to the whole Sphere card, that was a lot of people's knock on it too. Is that, hey man, this fucking card was all decisions, bro, all fucking decisions. Like it was fucking insane. It was no knockouts in the main card. So fuck that, right? Fuck that. So I don't want to see Jose Aldo get knocked out, but I do think this fight goes the distance. Okay, so moving on to another women bantamweight, we do have Kayla Harrison versus Kathleen Vieira. And yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Kathleen Vieira, but I do know that she has a pretty impressive record. She does have a loss against Raquel Pennington, who is obviously the current champ. But hey, she has very impressive wins. She has very impressive wins against big names like Holly Holm, Misha Tate, Arina. Oh, sorry, no, she lost against Arina Aldana. But yeah, man, she's been there with some of the best, and she's won 3 out of her last 5. So not terrible, but obviously not the best. Now, on the other side, you have Kayla Harrison, who made her UFC debut at UFC 300 and won. So if you don't know, she obviously is coming from the PFL. She was a champ over there. And she's coming out to the UFC, and she has big hype around her. She's massive, by the way. I don't know how the fuck she makes bantamweight, bro. That is wild. She probably weights closer to fucking welterweight. If I had to guess, she weights at like 160, 170, bro. And it's wild that she cuts all the way to bantamweight. I mean, that's fucking insane. But yeah, had a impressive submission win against Holly Holm at UFC 300. So, if she's able to catapult and just keep going from that momentum, should be an easy dub. Obviously, she's the bigger gal, and I would say more explosive, more dangerous. So yeah, and also another reason why I want Kayla Harrison to win, it's because there has been rumors, right, spreading around that if she does win, or if she keeps winning at least, that we will eventually have another super fight between her and Amanda Nunes, which would be a pretty good goddamn fight. Yeah, if you'd ask me. That's a fight that I really want to see at some point in the future. We know Amanda's retired, but she's still young and she can still do a lot. She can come back. Retired at her own way, which is good. Like, honestly, if she wants to stay retired and do that, then that's fucking perfect, and she doesn't owe us anything. But if she does want to come back and give it another go, fuck, let's do it, bro. Like, why not, Kayla Harrison also a massive favorite. So if you want to make some money, you can put it also on Vieira. That might be good, but I don't think that's gonna hit, bro. Honestly, if you put your parlay with Vieira in it, I think you're fucked. But hey, if you think the risk is worth it, go for it. Go for it. Yeah. Then we have Kevin Holland versus Roman Dolidze. Sorry. Yeah, Kevin Holland, obviously we all know him. Super entertaining guy to watch. A phenomenal striker. He really embodies more of like a kung fu style, right? But you call it kung fu, but he strikes. I don't really think when I think of kung fu, I think of like fucking Bruce Lee, right? Movies type shit, right? Like he doesn't do any of that, obviously. But he is a phenomenal striker with very dangerous weapons. Punches really hard, kicks really hard. So he does embody the kickboxing really well. And then he's going against Roman Dolidze. So this is an interesting one. I think I'm gonna just go with Holland. Holland. I think it's a little bit more experienced guy, a little bit faster, more slick with his movement. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Izzy when it comes to movement. How he's always kind of bobbing and weaving and moving his head. So he could potentially do a lot of damage against Roman. However, Kevin Holland also, just had a few losses in his record. Unfortunately, he lost to JDM, he lost to MVP. Fantastic fight there. It was MVP's debut as well in the UFC. But he is coming off of a win also against Michal Oleksiejczuk. And he does have a loss also against Wonderboy, against Hamzat. So yeah, I mean the guy, even though he's super entertaining, he has a few losses in his career, which is unfortunate because at one point he was in a little bit of a tear. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in a row back in 2020. Wow, look at this. He had 5 wins in a row, all in 2020. Okay, May, August, September, October, and December, undefeated. That is crazy. That is fucking crazy. And 2 of them were KOs. But then he lost against Derek Brunson, and then he lost against Marvin Vettori. So that's crazy because, look at who you're talking about. You're talking about Derek Brunson and Marvin Vettori, right? If he gets past probably one of those guys, probably Vettori, if he gets past Vettori at that time, back then, he was probably up next for Izzy, right? Or something like that. That would have been insane. But unfortunately, he never quite grasped the top of the division. He's been there in the middle for a very, very long time. And obviously, he gave us that really fun striking match against Wonderboy, where they both agreed that they were only going to strike. So that was fun. So yeah, he has a very lengthy, very impressive record with a ton of experience, a ton of big names he's been in there with. Roman, on the other hand, he's more of I would say, a more well-rounded martial artist for MMA at least, right? And he does have a little bit of a ground game, and he does have some submission in his career. And then he went on a little bit of a tear and then lost also against Vettori. So, Vettori dispatched both of these guys already. So that's kind of crazy. And then he had another loss, so 2 in a row against Nasruddin Imavov. But then he kind of shocked everybody when he knocked out Anthony Smith, who, if you don't know who Anthony Smith, he's also another fucking savage that has been in that division for a long time and just a tough, tough dude to put away. So yeah, he that win was definitely impressive. So I think that's those type of wins, like I was talking about earlier, that's what bring you closer and closer to being at the top. When you beat a guy with a bigger name like Anthony, that's great. And now you're going against another guy with a big name like Kevin Holland. That if he's able to win and capitalize out of these 2 back-to-back wins, he's right there. I mean, he's currently ranked. Okay, so one thing I didn't notice is that this fight is on middleweight, and Kevin Holland is not ranked at middleweight. However, he is ranked at welterweight. He's ranked 15. And then in middleweight, Roman is ranked number 10. So if he's able to get past Roman, this fight is at middleweight, he'll probably snatch that top 10 position. And then, that division right now is very, very tasty because obviously you had the belt switching hands a couple of times within the last year or 2. We had Izzy, then go to Sean. Well, first it went from Izzy to Alex, and then to Izzy again, and then to Sean, and then to DDP, and then he defended it against Izzy already. So that belt moved around quite a bit. So, in my opinion, if he's able to get one more or maybe two more, yeah, if you're in the top 10, I want to say two more impressive wins, you can do that. And, does beating Kevin Holland, that it's not ranked at middleweight, does that help him at all? Does that help his cause? That's when you have to wonder. Like, I'm not saying anybody should dock, I'm not saying anybody should not accept the fight, but you gotta make you wonder. Like, does this fight really help him? Because if he wins, okay, well, is he gonna go up in ranking? I don't think he would, because Kevin was not ranked in this division. And if he loses his spot against an unranked guy. I mean, listen, shout out to taking the fight. I mean, it's kind of like Dustin Poirier said, if you're not defending your spot, what are you doing? It's not only about going forward all the time, but it's also about proving that, hey, you still belong here in this part of the division, right? So shout out to him for taking the fight and taking the risk. But you gotta ask yourself, like, does this fight really help him in any case? I think it's a lose-lose. I do think if he wins, he's not going to go up in the rankings that much, maybe 1 point, right? Maybe not 1 point, sorry, one spot. It's not points. I've been watching a lot of Formula One, and it's on points, so that's why I'm stuck in that. But he goes up one spot, right? Maybe not. Maybe he stays at 10th. But then if Kevin wins, then he snatches up that 10th place. So yeah, and like I said, man, in this division, maybe get one or two more impressive wins and you can be right there. You can be right there for a spot, especially because we have the belt rotating a lot, right? So, yeah. So, shout out. That should be a fun fight, and I'm excited for that. That should probably honestly, that could probably be fight of the night, if I had to guess. Or maybe this next fight, Wonder Boy, Stephen Thompson, obviously, fucking GOAT, versus Joaquin Buckley. This also has fight of the night written all over it. All over it. Stephen Thompson is the underdog at plus 170. He is 41 years old, right? He is 11 years older than Joaquin Buckley. And obviously has been in the UFC for a very long time, has been in there with the who's who, has given us amazing knockouts, amazing finishes, right, with his karate style fighting. However, as you get older, you fall on tougher times. I mean, fuck, bro. Looking at this record, he went undefeated from 2013 to 2016, and that's when he had the draw against Tyron Woodley, and then lost against Tyron Woodley. And then, yeah, from there, he had win, lose, lose, win, win, lose, 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 win, lose. And his last one was obviously a loss against Shavkat Rakhmonov, which I don't take a lot from that because Shavkat is probably your next champion, honestly, if I had to guess, at welterweight. And he obviously super dominating on the ground, and he submitted Wonder Boy, and obviously Wonder Boy is just not a grappler, right? He's primarily a striker. So yeah, that one was a little bit tough. So he's coming off of a loss, unfortunately. And then on the other side, we do have Joaquin Buckley, 11 years younger, and obviously probably because of the age gap, I would even argue a little bit more explosive, more power. Yeah, definitely more power. Even though Wonder Boy knocks people out with kicks and shit, because he's utilizing movement. But with his fists or with a hook, he hasn't never really put anybody away, right? So I would argue that Joaquin Buckley definitely has the bigger power, the more explosiveness, and I wouldn't even argue faster. Don't get me wrong, like Wonder Boy looks sharp, and he has that fight stance where he's always on his tippy toes and moving, and that's great. That keeps you sharp. But 11 years, bro, it's a fucking difference. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. 11 years. So I'm assuming that Joaquin is gonna just probably be slightly better than Wonder Boy in every single scenario of the fight. Even in the striking, if Joaquin, and we've seen kind of how to defeat guys like Wonder Boy, right? Obviously, not get hit, he's just in the done, duh. But do it in a way that, like, he likes to be at a distance because at a distance he can crack those crazy kicks, right? Those karate kicks. So obviously close that distance and get phone booth type of style, make it dirty. Again, it's kind of been the theme of a lot of fights recently. Make it a dirty fight and get in there, and then obviously with a guy like Wonder Boy, you want to be utilizing the takedowns. That's what you want to do a lot because again, we've seen it time and time before that he's not a wrestler, he's not a grappler, and I doubted that he's had any sort of improvement in order to make a difference. He's probably gotten better, because he probably trains, but I doubt he's gotten at a level where he's gonna start, getting submissions or even defending submissions or even defending takedowns. I think that he's gonna be pretty easy to take down. So Joaquin Buckley can do that, and Joaquin Buckley overall just more well-rounded type of dude. He has KOs in his record. He has decisions. He also has some submission. Oh wait, never mind. He has literally no submissions. So yeah, but again, it kind of goes back to the theme earlier, right? If you want to beat a guy that's a fantastic striker, you have to mix in those takedowns, right? So even though you might not get the finish, just take the takedown. Just do the takedown and have Wonder Boy think about it. That way, he's also not going to fully open up on his feet, right? Because whenever you introduce the fear of the takedown, that's when the striker would shut down a little more, and that's when the striker would maybe not take a lot of risks because now it's like, okay, this guy can submit me. But I take back what I say though. Joaquin is not primarily a grappler. I would say he is a more well-rounded MMA guy, but he literally has 0 submissions in his career. 0. He has a lot of KOs though. A lot of fucking KOs. He fucking knocks people out into oblivion. Into fucking oblivion. He also has that fucking probably one of the best knockouts in the UFC, right? Where he threw a kick and the guy grabbed his leg and held it for I'd say like a solid second. And Joaquin just turned around and pop, just fucking domed him to the head and fucking knocked him out to oblivion. Like some crazy spinning shit, So also, I thought it was funny that in his last win, he called out Conor McGregor. Okay, well, you gotta shoot your shot somehow, right? But yeah, I'm not gonna overthink it too much in this one either. And again, this is another one that my heart and my passion wants to say that Wonder Boy is gonna get a win. But on paper, Joaquin is gonna get the win. Like I said, the younger guy, more explosive. And yeah, I just think it kind of goes that way. And who knows? Maybe Wonder Boy at some point this year or next year might start thinking about retirement soon. Because the guy is 41, so he's fighting guys that are 11 years younger than him. That's crazy. So, but yeah, that wraps it up for 307. I did have one more topic I wanted to talk to you guys about. And I kind of wanted to get a feeling of what the internet is thinking of. This whole Sean O'Malley and Merab thing right now. Sean O'Malley, in true Sean O'Malley fashion, goes to Twitter or whatever the fuck it was, Instagram or fucking Facebook. I don't know what the fuck it was. Probably not Facebook. But he goes on the internet and he says, hey guys, I actually rewatched the fight and I won 3 rounds, right? Now, when he said this, you can tell he was kind of joking and he was kind of, he knew that he lost. But then as days go by and now weeks go by and now we see him get in a little bit more arguments on Twitter with Merab, he's still claiming he won the fight. Okay, listen, I'm completely fine if you want to joke around for 1 or 2 days after the fight, right? But then now that's been weeks and you're still holding on to that undefeated title. No. First of all, you were not undefeated before. You lost against Chito. Whatever you want to call it a loss, it was what it was. It was because of an injury. Even though I'm a huge Chito Vera fan, it was because of an injury, obviously. And Chito didn't really land anything crazy. He only landed once he was down. He didn't crack him with anything to make him go down. Sean just went down because his leg gave out. And that's when Chito came and cracked him. But he really didn't do anything beforehand to initiate that, other than probably, I don't know, was it a check? I don't know what it was, but whatever. The leg snapped and he lost, right? Whatever, he went over his whole career saying he was undefeated, and now he's doing it again against Merab. Listen, at some point we have to say enough is enough, bro. Okay, at some point we have to say shut up. And listen, I'm not hating. I'm also a huge Sean O'Malley fan. I'm hating a little bit. Like, I think it just looks better if you take the win as a man, right? Look at examples that guys in the past have done, like at Connor, right? Look at some of these other legends like Volkanovski, Max Holloway, that they've lost. They're legends. They've lost, but they're not going saying, "Oh, I'm undefeated." No, they own their losses, and they're not sore losers. That's really all it is. It's kind of being a little bit of a sore loser, a little bit unrealistic, and obviously also just not wanting to own and accept the fact that, hey, I did lose, and it's okay, bro. Like, it's fine. You had an off night. Maybe you were injured. I saw something that there was a issue with his hip, and now that's his excuse. So yeah, whether that was a factor or not, hey man, you took the fight, you knew the risk. He did the same thing against Aljo. He was injured for that fight, and it went his way. He won, and he did the same thing now against Merab, and it didn't go his way, and he lost. However, this whole argument that he won 3 rounds, he's out of his fucking mind, bro. He's out of his fucking mind, okay? I'm not an MMA expert by any means. I'm just a huge fan with a YouTube channel. But I think there's a pretty fucking good consensus on any other experts that will tell you, nah, well, hold on. Not really, right? Everybody dropped their videos, their reactions to the fight after. Everybody agreed that, yes, Merab dominated for 4, maybe 5 rounds. I give Sean 1. Honestly, I think I give Sean, and if I wanted to be fair, I gave him, I gave him 2 at the very most. I gave him the 5th round for sure, and then maybe the 3rd. But other than that, it was Merab all day, with pressure, with takedowns again. The formula that I've been speaking so highly of, and the theme of this episode pretty much is mix it up. If you're at the disadvantage at the striking, make it a dirty fight, bro. Make it a dirty fight and mix up those takedowns. Mix up the takedowns. So that's the only way, not the only way, but that's a good way if you are in a striking disadvantage to win. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because now I don't think O'Malley's calling for an immediate rematch because he does have to get surgery. So I do believe on his tweet, he did say, like, okay, go fight Umar. He called him Ubnar. It was funny. It's funny. I give him that. He said, go fight Umar and let me heal up and then I'll come back, right? And yeah, I think we can do that. I think that's a pretty realistic thing. However, does O'Malley get a rematch right away, or does he have to go through one more? I think that's the real question here. The real question is, he wasn't a dominant champ. He wasn't. He only defended his belt once. Usually a dominant champ like these guys that we've seen before, like Kamaru, like Izzy, they like GSP, they get those immediate rematches if they lose, right? It happens. And look at those guys. Again, take an example. Look at how those guys take that. I mean, they are composed. They are professionals, and yeah, it stinks. And yeah, you don't want to. You probably don't want to admit it for the longest, right? But at one point, you have to say like, okay, yes, I lost. The only thing you can do is learn from your mistakes and do better the next time. So, I do believe that he probably shouldn't fight Merab after coming back, or he shouldn't fight the winner of Merab and Umar. I do want to see him get one more win. And I'm not hating on O'Malley. He won the belt fair and square. He defended it fair and square. One defense, that's great. but then he lost it fair and square. And one defense, in my opinion, it's not enough for an immediate rematch. Mind you, it's not immediate because he has to get surgery and Umar is going to fight Marab. So it's immediate for him because he's not going to fight anybody else. The thing I'm saying is he shouldn't come back from the injury and fight for the belt. He should fight one more guy. That's the main question here. That's the main argument. Let me know what you think down in the comments if he should fight right away for a belt after he comes back, or maybe we give him a number one contender fight, which again, I think it makes sense because he wasn't a dominant champ. All right, I'll stop yapping. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. As always, don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment. Let me know how you guys are feeling, and catch you guys on the next one. Peace.